the waiting list is from outside patrons or from current shade hanger plane occupants, because I'm wondering if it is new occupants, what will happen to the shade hanger plane occupants and the possible paved tie-down occupants, because you wouldn't necessarily be making new hangar space if those people are wanting to stay at the Airpark also. And as someone that's more considered as an entry-level income person and a public servant for the federal government, a little bit lower income, and as someone who hopes to get a plane sometime soon and I'm working on it, I'm not sure that I would be able to afford a T-hanger rental price, but I could afford the shade hanger, which I would prefer over the open grass tie-down or paved tie-down because it would be better for the airplane to be under there. And I'd also like you guys to consider possible younger patrons that I know that our Women Pilots group is trying to get more involved, and they would definitely not be someone that would be ready to pay for the higher expense of a T-hanger versus the grass hanger. And if you are still going to move forward with replacing the shade hangers with T-hangers, I know money is hard to come by and it is going to be an expensive plan, and I would ask that you would look into starting with the new hanger down by row Alpha or starting with the hanger on row Juliet to convert the paved tie-downs before you would tear down the shade hangers. And lastly, I was wondering if you guys would entertain the possibility of having a member that is a non-Clearwater resident, like myself. I would be interested in participating on the board, but currently you must be a Clearwater resident to be on this board, although there are some other boards that do not have that requirement. And as for myself, I have extensive background in working with the federal government and participating in running interdisciplinary planning teams, board meetings, working groups, steering committees, etc., for not only the federal government, but also for non-governmental organizations. And this would all includes working on large documents like this master plan that have multiple alternatives that you need to analyze the environmental and socio-economical effects of that I think would be a benefit to being on this board. So I'm not sure who needs to make those decisions, but I wonder if you guys can make those discussions amongst yourself and maybe raise it up to council or whoever your governing board is that would make those final decisions. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think a lot of that information that you gave us regarding keeping some shade hangers would be the company that's putting these master plans together to make an alternative one that we could show how that would fit or where it would be. You know what I mean? Because there's so many different variations of the plan. So I don't know.
It's one of the options
It's,
in the last version I read, I didn't see that as one of the options to keep the shade hangers. It was just a couple of different options of where they would put the new hanger off of row Alpha. There could be a newer version that I couldn't find online, but
I'm not sure that the versions we've seen have actually talked about what order they're done in. It just says eventually these will be T-hangers, eventually this area will be T. It doesn't say what order.
Yeah.
So that's, your comments is easily relevant, so, or certainly can go into the discussion. There's going to be shade hangers there for a number of years yet.
yeah, I wasn't sure
I'm pretty
what the
sure
time
about
frame
that.
of the money to
It takes a
make
while.
the changes would happen.
This next one is a rebuild of an existing T-hanger. And so, and that takes its time. We'll talk about that later today, but there'll be shade hangers there, I'm pretty sure, for quite some time.
Okay, good. Maybe by then I could.
Yeah.
It is-
Tell me about the compass rocks. Is this, you mean functionally for aligning magnetic systems, or?
Yes.
And then you said decorative.
So if possible, but you know, if you have to get it the area surveyed that you want to do it to make sure it's pointing to magnetic north, but if you have underground metals, you're not going to be able to effectively survey that. From conversations I've had with multiple people, that could be the case at the Airpark, that there are underground metals that would distort the true, magnetic
Yeah,
north.
I'm actually the air marking chairman.
Yes,
for
I didn't know
our
if you wanted
chapter.
me to bring that up.
Yeah, so, no, it's not a problem. It's just, I mean, this is something I've talked with the city about before. And there's not a place big enough for a 67.5 one that you could actually sit an airplane on. And because of the underground stuff, there's too much going on underground to be actually swing a compass, so it would have to be decorative. Which means I can scale it back because you don't need it, but as part of the master plan and everything else that's going on, also they would have to, typically we have them purchase the paint.
Yeah.
And that would have to be, this is how do we call ourselves, an equity? What are we?
Enterprise fund.
Enterprise fund. I always forget that too. So, I mean, it has to go through the city, so, because it's a city field. So, we're, the advisory board, we can certainly pass that on, that we've discussed it, and that, the chapter is willing to do that, because we always are. It's just, in the past, when we've brought it up, it's just not been feasible to do that yet, and, regrettably, I mean, because they are pretty.
And the reason I
So-
bring it up this time is because I know there's been some more recent compass roses that are navigational, that they have only done at a 50-foot radius instead of the 60.
I've done them down to 30-something feet,
Yeah.
37, I think it was.
And we had a lot of leftover paint from painting the decorative one at Sun and Fun at the Lakeland Linder Airport, so we were going to be willing to use that to paint this compass rose, but now that, I'm not sure if it would be reasonable to do it now, if the area is just going to be repaved over anytime soon, and again, that's not knowing what the timeline is of when different things like that would happen.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. Do you want to wait for the report, or you want to talk now?
Whatever you say, because you're the president.
Please speak to us now, David.
I just wanted to tell you about the fourth ARC meeting was, the
yeah.
charity event was at the airport about, in March. And in 4 years, they've raised $345,000 for the ARC. This year was about $92,000 or $93,000, of which I believe Paul was at the event this year, as well as Barb and I. And
That was last year.
no, okay. But,
Profit, right?
Huh?
That was after expenses.
yeah, after expenses, 92,000
That's awesome.
profit, after total expenses in 4 years, almost $350,000.
That's amazing.
That all goes to the ARC right there on the Long Center, so
Yeah.
helps a lot of good people, so.
Yeah,
It's just, I'm specifically happy about it because, the Airpark, when we go back that far, was
Right.
always
yeah.
something people didn't like very much in our community, but now we found a way to take that and really make it an
Amazing.
asset for the community, so
Yeah.
I think that's a really good
Do they
thing.
still want to continue doing that there?
Long as the city will let us do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's on there for 2/20/20 of next year,
2/20/20.
February 20th of 20. This is your cordial invitation as our guest, if anybody wants to come.
Great.
And I think I have that authority, I don't know. I did it
I don't know.
anyway.
Yeah, it's your Airpark. Well,
I
you
know, but
manage
it's
it.
sort of their event, but
Yeah.
anyway, if need
Well, I
be,
do
we'll
the
absorb.
omelet, the flower shop I do does their omelet party, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool, yeah.
Yeah.
That's an expensive one, $350 a seat. I didn't go.
Me either.
All right,
I just
that's
did
all
the
I have to
flowers.
say. She
Thank
handles
you.
all
That's
the
good.
rest.
I met a couple people last night who'd gone to it, and they just raved about it, so.
It was in the corporate hangar this year, and
Yeah.
what a great
Oh,
venue that turned out
really?
to be.
Oh, it was stunning. People
that's
didn't want to
awesome.
leave. I mean, it was absolutely it was about 75 degrees, I guess. It was comfortable, the band was playing, the place
That's
was
amazing.
packed.
That is so awesome.
Tons of leaders from the community were there. I mean, all the people that own all the restaurants and, various
Yeah.
businesses and stuff, so it went
Did-
really well.
How do they advertise that?
I'm not really sure how the ARC does it, but they have mailers that come out once a
Okay,
year.
all right.
And we certainly can get you on that list.
Thank you,
Barb.
David.
Okay, well, as I mentioned at the last meeting, we anticipated having a very busy spring at the Airpark, and we certainly did. We had several events. David mentioned Wings, Wheels, and Wine in March, which turned out really well. We had a Young Eagles rally in March, and Bruce could talk about that. I think they had a great event. In April, Sun and Fun was over in Lakeland, and we had quite a number of transients in. because they combined a beach vacation with the Sun and Fun visit, and we got so much positive feedback about how beautiful our airport is and what a great airport, and they'll be back next year. So that was awesome, and it's great for the Clearwater economy, because they're staying here, staying at the beach for several days, and then driving to Lakeland. And then in June, I think you're involved with the Girl Scout event that they had.
Yeah,
Not
we
in
just
June, I'm
had one
sorry.
last
That
month.
was also in April.
April, yeah.
That was a really big event. I stopped by.
Oh, did you? I didn't
Saw
see
that.
that.
I was just around. You guys were mostly over
Yeah, I
at
was
the
kind of
other
between
buildings.
two of the portables, yeah.
But everything went really smoothly for that.
Good, thank you.
And of course, our open house is this Saturday, May 4th, and we anticipate a nice crowd for that. I just heard from the Coast Guard, they're not going to be able to bring in their big helicopter
Aw.
because they had some operational demands that they needed. But other than that, everybody else seems to be on board, and it should be a
Awesome.
nice event. So
Yeah.
it's 10 to 3, everybody's welcome to come. And hope
Very
we
cool.
see some of you there. Pardon? Oh, yes, free hot dogs
Free
and
hot
soft
dogs.
drinks and waters.
Is Nicole coming this year, or no?
I invited Nicole to come, but she already had another
Oh, okay.
commitment on the other side of the state. She said, though, that if that didn't pan out, that she would come, but I haven't heard back from her, so I'm expecting that she won't be
There's
there.
some other astronaut alumni that went to Clearwater High School that
Oh, really?
used to live locally. I guess I could look that up, and so maybe we could, tap them on the shoulder at some point.
Maybe. That's
I think
about
one of
all
them
I
was a
have.
Belcher.
Anybody have any questions for the FBO?
Anybody?
Yeah, the airport report, I'm going to ask a question of Bob Gibson, who asked me to ask it. He was going to try to make it today, but wasn't able. These inspections that we're talking for the month of May, he wanted to know if he can be there at his hangar when it's being inspected.
Oh, sure, we'll probably notify people, and then you can absolutely be there for
Okay.
it, sure.
So, I wasn't sure scheduling. That was, to me, sounded like the hardest part.
Right, well, we don't know the exact date yet. We kind of put that letter out. David could speak to that about just giving you guys a heads up.
Okay, so the purpose of the letter, Barb and I and Mike and Ed had a meeting with the city, and in order to make as little, problems for everybody in all the hangars, we thought that giving everybody a 30-day notice, read your lease, figure out what's supposed to be there, what's not supposed to be there, and give them a month to sort of do house cleaning on their own. Then we're going to go through, when Mike and I talked about this today, we're going to schedule it, and once we schedule it, we'll put it up on the door so everybody coming and going can see it. And then I don't see any reason anybody can't be in their hangar. If they want to be there, that's great. That's actually wonderful.
Yeah.
We can take
Yeah, I think
notes. We can take notes together and ask them ask some questions about things.
Well, I think that
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
And then we're gonna, we'll run extra dumpsters for the next month. So if people want to, do some house cleaning, they can put their small stuff, no refrigerators or stoves in there, but the small stuff.
Yeah,
and
get
we'll
rid of
Their bunk
every
beds.
time it gets full, we'll re-empty it. And then hopefully that way, we'll have less issues. I want less issues. That's what I want.
Absolutely.
So,
Yes,
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
been a
but it's inevitable. It has to happen.
yeah, it's been a
So
long
it's been
time
going on too
coming.
long. So now we just gotta, get ship shape.
That's right. Okay.
Good for you.
All right.
Okay. Very
I'll be
good.
over here if you have any more questions.
Thank you, David. Mike, do you want to talk about the security?
Yeah,
Are you,
okay.
Oh, I think
did you want to
may be
speak?
a citizen speak.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
observing, okay.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, the state of Florida, they do they contract out Kimberly Horn to do a security assessment at the Airpark. And they last did this back in 2012. And if you had a chance to read through this, the fence repair was one of the things they hit on in 2012. And then the access points. Right now, currently, we have 11 access points. They'd like us to reduce that. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the security is really a problem out there. We are too, so we're very low risk, which is good. It's a really good number. Their recommendations is to reduce some of those access points and their people and vehicle access gates. The people gates, we have locks on, except for the 2 main access gates, which have card readers. So we're gonna look at removing some of those gates and just putting up fencing. Which also brings me into a grant opportunity that we're currently working on. And our goal is to put in a security, they're called security guard shacks, but they look like little ticket booths or toll booths, and we're wanting to put that on the north access gate. And what that's gonna do is anytime anybody comes in overnight, they're gonna have to use their access to gain entry, and the security guard will get there to get their information. So it's a way to control access, especially overnight right now.
Was that north or south?
I'm sorry, it's the south gate, the south gate.
Okay.
This is when the Airpark would be, in other words, somebody arriving at midnight or at
Correct.
4 in the morning to be
Correct.
ready to depart at
Correct,
7.
our security guard will be there to make sure the person is who they say they are, make sure that
Okay.
they have access, and then, they'll be able to get in and get to their hangar.
Uh-huh.
So they'll be there nightly then?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
as
we
part
have
of the
overnight
grant?
security aides now, but currently their mission is not that. I'm gonna add that to their mission. That's gonna be what they're gonna do, is control that access, along with doing the rounds and everything else.
So would somebody arrive, 'cause I've gotten there at 6 in the morning to get ready to depart at 7, so you would call them to
No,
get
no.
them there, or?
They're gonna be right at the gate. You'll use your card like normal to get in, and you'll drive in, and then they'll be standing there. You
Yeah.
show them your ID, they'll mark.
But they
who
wouldn't be
you are.
standing there all night waiting for people to
Well,
come.
yeah, they'll be in their, they'll have their computer, they'll have their workstation inside of this office.
Uh-huh.
That's right by the door, so anytime anybody comes.
Nice.
And then, of course, we'll have that phone number on there, so if they're doing a rounds, when somebody
Yeah.
calls, they can call the cell phone, they'll be right
That's
back
what
to,
that's-
to
Assuming they couldn't
turn the
trust
power back on the gate and let them in. Absolutely.
What we're trying to do is make sure that who comes through the gate with the card is
Yeah.
actually the person that's supposed to come through the gate.
Yeah,
We've discovered that that's evidently a problem. Bruce gives his card to John. Not supposed to happen.
Going
Right.
on.
Then John's on the airport, but we think Bruce is on the airport.
right. Yeah.
So this is the way they want to handle it, so we're gonna,
We're just trying
Try
to
it.
control access.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of
There's a reason for those.
What's that?
we're a 2, we want to be a 1.
Yeah, no, that's right, yeah.
That's awesome.
I wanted to ask, I was shocked to see 14, when I read this, 14 access points, it
Yeah.
says.
Yeah,
I mean,
I didn't realize
3 of which are pedestrian, so there's two auto gates, that implies there's 9 vehicle gates. Are there that many? I guess there are, because they're
Yeah,
counting.
there is, especially, they're counting even.
By the
on
corporate
south
hangar.
side That traffic engineering uses, or I'm sorry, the far north side that traffic engineering uses.
Yeah, think about that, okay.
And then there's that one off of, was it Grand Boulevard?
Yeah, there's,
Can we tell you where they are?
And then there's one on the far south
We got
side.
2 by the building. I'm talking really loud, though. 2 by the building that you drive through, and you got 2 little personal gates left and right.
Right,
Right,
And you got the one by the one just north of maintenance by the
Okay.
corporate hangar.
yeah, okay.
oh, yeah.
And then you got the one that's on the fence along that south street. Then you got the other one that's by the golf course.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's
Yeah.
probably some more that I mean, I don't know where there's 11 or 12
14, it says.
or 4. I
I like the one along the
Well, you
golf
said-
course, does it get opened?
the only time that gets opened is if we.
Not anymore.
We open it to,
Yeah.
let them come over while we observe them getting golf balls. But,
Yeah,
yeah, they
yeah.
could always come in
They used to
another
have that
gate.
one
if
pushed
that-
down so they could get
I
their
will
golf
count
balls.
them, because I can't believe we have, I don't know 14.
I think there's 11.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But, one of them, the one on Keene Road, they use that to get in for the groundwater.
Oh, yeah.
Detention
Oh,
ponds.
yeah,
okay.
I have seen that one.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm not
there's a
saying
gate
wrong,
up there
yeah.
that he's talking about that they come in when the ditch cutter comes in. And You know, they just open that gate and come in themselves. There's one at Grand that we opened for the Ark, which,
Yeah.
you know, that actually has road access, and I think that has to stay for in case there's any kind of an
Yeah,
incident, that ambulances or whatever.
I'm going to ask a question here, because I have a key to one of the city park gates that we just cooperatively, we're managing doggy bags and things like that. The city has a standard key that fits a lot of locks.
Yes.
Oh, really?
I assume that these are not that lock or that key. I wouldn't want to think that I've got access to, you know, me or an
Yeah.
equivalent, I'm good. But
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
I didn't understand what you had a key to.
I have a key to, the city parks have given, with our townhomes next door, because there's times when we're moving furniture and stuff, we need access, we need a bigger gate to carry things around in the back. And we also keep track of dog bags and dog waste facilities, and I open up the gate in order to deposit the rate. So I've had the key to that thing for probably 15 years. But when they replaced the lock, I went, oh, don't I need a new key? Oh, no, it's the standard key. So it's the same key, goes to hundreds of locks around the city of Clearwater, apparently. I've never tried it on another lock because it's none of my business. But I just wanted to make sure that these locks were not those same locks. I'd like to think they're not the same combo. That would be a security violation to me. It's one thing if a park gate gets open that is just an offense. This is an aviation security thing.
Yeah.
So that might be worth asking about. Because if the golf course guys have access to that lock,
They don't. No,
They have to
call
come
us
see you.
and we open
Yeah,
the gate.
okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, let me clarify that. They
Oh,
do
okay.
not have a key
That
to
makes,
that.
Yeah.
okay.
but, I'm just bringing it up, because I know that there is a standard key, City of Clearwater padlock combo, because how can a maintenance crew have access to hundreds of locks, it's just a reality. So, anyway, I just thought I'd bring it up as a potential security risk, that's all.
Yeah, for sure.
So this is saying that the rest of those are like padlocks, the ones that are manual? Okay.
Yeah, I think that, I thought, when I was reading that, I thought it was interesting about extra lighting, which is obviously a good thing, in general. Can I make one other comment?
Absolutely.
I did notice the top of this, and the information collected as a part of this security is considered sensitive security information, not subject to open record request and viewing in accordance with blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But then it's posted on the internet so that anyone in the world can read it. I just found myself a little bit going, I was a little queasy about that,
Some of the prices, the cost of some of the lighting and things like that online are Xed out. So not whole document isn't, like little areas are
redacted.
Oh, were they?
Yes.
Were they were?
Yes, they were. Because
Okay.
I look at this, that's how much it costs. But
Oh.
when I looked it up online, that was all just
Oh,
Xed.
that's interesting. I did not notice that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
it's more about the cost is SSI, but the verbiage doesn't matter, maybe.
Okay.
What is this?
Oh, and on behalf of EAA 282, I will say that when the list of tenants, and then EAA 282 and the Civil Air Patrol got pushed together as though we're one entity, and
Oh, really?
we're not.
On the front here?
We're two entities.
Yeah, there's a couple mistakes in here for sure.
Yeah.
One of them.
Oh, I see,
On the
yeah.
first page, that we have one helicopter there. Well, we all know that we have more than one helicopter.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
yeah.
from 2012, right? This-
Yeah.
So it's,
Well, no, this is the new one.
the new one.
Yeah.
What's the date on this? Where's the date?
Yeah, but yeah,
We may be
you're right.
getting
There's
this
a lot more
from
than one
back
helicopter.
then, because we have way more airplanes than that as well, so.
Okay.
Okay. Does anybody have anything else?
Let's see. Yeah, those are my two things that I didn't want to forget about. I just covered up. Okay, I'm
All
done.
righty. Nothing else down there? All right, do we have any old business items? Or any of our new business items first? Was there anything else anybody wanted to bring up? All right, any old business? I don't remember anything from last time. All righty, director's report, we kind of already had that. Board members?
I've got nothing else.
All righty, if nobody else has anything else, get a motion?
I'll move to adjourn.
Second?
Favor?
Aye.